Alright, to reiterate on a few points I made on the last episode.
Canceling your debt. Canceling your debt is just that, not paying your debt. You may choose to pay your debt if you can, if you're able, if you are willing. But what I'm advocating here is to cancel or not pay your debt. I know it's not for everyone. You may not be ready for it. However, if you already checked off
Various previous items
for living off the grid, the Renegade Style, then canceling your debt is your next step, because you, again, no longer care about IDs, no longer care about money, no longer care about credit or credit scores, credit standing, any of that. None of that matters at this point. So why care about your debt? Your debt is nothing but a computer-generated number in a few places, in a few banks. And you not paying your debt is just going to destroy your credit, which, again, in your mind is already non-existent, is a non-existent quantity, entity, or idea. So why even care about the destruction of something that you no longer recognize? So canceling your debt, again, is a way to stand up against the system. It's a way to turn your back to the system. It's a way to free yourself from the system. You will no longer have to work to pay off that debt. You will no longer have to pay bills towards that debt, take away funds, much needed funds for other things to pay off that debt, and you will not be stressed out by it. Who knows the amount of people that get sick and even die because of stress-related illnesses, in large part caused by money problems. And forgetting, canceling your debt is a very large, a huge factor in improving your health by pretty much deleting or removing a big stressor, which is being in debt. I'm not going to say too much more about that. Again, it is a very logical next step for those that achieve a very high level of living off the grid. So it is something that is, although quite difficult, it is quite possible, and again, something that identifies you as a very, very high level of grid living person. The next topic I'd like to discuss is the living arrangements that I mentioned before. One of them being, the first being a homestead option, the second one being the mobile option, or van life as they call it, quite popular, and the last but not least is the nomad or backpacking option. To move on into the homestead option, the homestead option is nothing but the purchase or acquisition of property. It doesn't have to be large. The property could be small in size. It could be within a city, could be within a town, could be within any kind of community, or it could be out in the open, out in the woods, out in the forest, out in any area where you can settle and live for a determined period of time, whether it's short term, from a few days to weeks to months, to semi-permanent for months to years. And again, it's not for everyone. You have to have a very high level of self-sufficiency, a good amount of health to get into these kinds of arrangements, especially those that are in remote areas, forest areas, areas that are quite unconventional from the normal or quote-unquote conventional type of living in a town, city, village, whatever it may be. You may choose to purchase a home. You may choose to purchase a dwelling, a building, not necessarily the conventional type. It could be something quite exotic, such as a dome. It could be something unusual, such as a cave, which you may or may not have to purchase. It could be something homemade. It could be something made either by you locally or made by a builder on site. It could be something quite extraordinary, something new, a new design, a new concept. Again, I'm quite attracted to domes because of their durability, their spaciousness, appeal, and also because they are one of the strongest structures and durable structures that you can build. They are probably a little cheaper to build than your regular home. Do your research, homework, do some legwork as far as finding out building methods and picking your building materials smartly and efficiently. So a dome could be a very viable option there. Also, if you want to go with the homestead option, Again, just to finish defining it, homestead option, you have to basically acquire a location, a place, a physical land area. It doesn't have to be big, it could be small, it could also be a little larger. It could be mid-sized, it could be in a city. It could be in between two buildings in a city, for example, between two homes, in the back of a home, in the backyard of a home. If someone's willing to give you or sell you a corner of their lot, it could be a whole lot as a lot for building a home. You can plop a mobile home, trailer. It could be something as simple as a tent if the climate permits it. It could be something as intricate as a very nice home. And I define nice here in the conventional way that people define it, as good materials, quality materials, nice appealing proportions, appealing design, colors, and building style, whatever that may be to you, to your liking. Everyone's got a different taste, slightly. Some have very radically different tastes, the way their home looks and feels. It could be also a mobile home or a motor home that you park in a piece of land, an RV, sometimes called recreational vehicle. It could be a mobile trailer or conversion trailer, as they call it, which is pretty much a utility trailer that has been converted into a trailer that you can live in. It could be a repertoire of different things, options, types of living structures that you can plop or park or pull into a piece of land, property, just about anywhere where you can. How do you pay for such a land? Some of you may be able to pay outright for a piece of land, however small it may be or large. You may have savings, lifelong savings from your past or current career or job that you may want to invest in a piece of land so you can call a homestead. Or you may be able to work toward paying for a piece of land, such as mortgage it out, get a loan from a bank or a lending individual or institution, and get that piece of land and pay for it as you go. Work, whether it's at a normal, conventional, run-of-the-mill job, or you can do your own thing. You could be a business entrepreneur, business owner, run a business, run some sort of operation, sell food, things that you may be able to grow, whether it's in your land or somewhere else, or just work, sell your labor, whatever that may be, sell your product, whatever that may be, or skill, whatever. Now, there are many ways to acquire land, acquire a place you can call a homestead. An option for this can also be where you can convert a vehicle for a living space, such as an old non-working bus. You can purchase that or acquire that somewhere. There are plenty of larger vehicles you can convert, strip out from the inside out, and basically make into some sort of building, living space. You can also, this is seemingly a growing popular idea, which is to get a box trailer or a truck container, as they call it, those big metal rectangular containers, and you can convert the inside into a living space. Some people may want to cut out windows, may want to cut out doors on the sides. You're going to be working with solid steel, perhaps 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick, so you may have to do some heavy duty cutting, some heavy duty welding, some heavy duty work dealing with this type of material. It is very difficult to work with sometimes, not being an option for many people to do on their own because of their health or age. You may want to consider that quite well. There may be options where you can purchase these things already fitted or converted. You will need, most likely, some sort of insulation, some sort of interior work. If you're living in an area that it gets hot, cold, humid, too dry, whatever. If the area where you live is not mild enough for you to comfortably live inside of one of these things, you may want to heavily convert, and that may have quite a bit of cost involved with it. There may be a lot of investment required of you, initial investment, especially for you to be able to live out of these containers. Some people, I've seen it, where they can stack two on top of each other, make it a 2-level or a multi-level place or dwelling. You can stack it side by side, have multiple rooms, whatever the options may be, or whatever the capabilities you may have. to acquire, purchase, and handle these box trailers or containers. So moving on to the next option, which is the van life option. A lot of people choose to go on the road, be mobile. They don't want to settle in any one spot. They want to go traveling. They want to get to know a lot of places, get to go to a lot of places and explore. They want to be able to move about. They may have an exploring spirit. They may be these type of people that can't stay in one spot, can't stay at home for too long. We're very much like and wish
to be
mobile in a very large part of the year. Perhaps not all year, a good amount of the year, to be out there and just knowing, discovering, learning from new places, from new experiences. That's something I value, and I'm sure many of you do as well. And getting a van, getting a vehicle, doesn't have to be really a van. It could be an SUV, a larger vehicle, most likely, more conveniently or preferably. It could be a pickup truck converted with some type of camper on it. It could be a box truck converted with the box in the back, the cargo area, converted to some sort of living space. It could be a pickup truck hauling some sort of camper trailer. It could be a repertoire of different options that you may want to have or take with you on the road. There are, again, many options. A van is one of the most popular options. It could be a minivan, it could be a motor home, as large as a motor home. It could be a cargo van that's been converted, or it could be a camping van that already comes fitted with all the equipment and all of the furniture from factory. If you have the funds and options to do that, those could be quite expensive. It could be up in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even $70,000 initial cost. So you may have to be at that financial level to even consider one of those. You can be in a situation where you can acquire an old van and convert it yourself if you are crafty, skilled, handy, like working with vehicles, mechanical in nature, and you have time and some funds to spend on parts as well. You will most likely have to dish out some good money on parts, panels, equipment, gear it as much as you can for comfort. If you are able to spend the funds and money on some comfort, that would be ideal, especially if you're planning to go to areas that are quite uncomfortable when it comes to the weather conditions, such as the heat, cold, whatever it may be. You need to think about that. If you are driving it throughout the North American continent, in the US, Canada, Mexico, whatever the case may be, you may want to fit it or have it fit with air conditioning, some sort of heat. You may want to do all that because it does get really hot and really cold in many areas of the country. That is something you want to heavily consider. The cost is always there. The more comfort, the more equipment you have, you will spend the cash. So that is something that you must be ready for. Furniture that is required for you to safely live in one of these vehicles is also something that you need to think about. You need somewhere to sit, somewhere to lay down, get rest, and that is something that you need to heavily consider as well.
This series will continue on the next episode. Look for that.